Well, good day, folks. How you doing today? Hope you're having an awesome day. Well, today we're going to do a little comparison of two very similar knives from the same company, and maybe see which might tickle your fancy a little more. So the two we're going to look at is the Range Boss and the Ranch Boss 2. And both of these knives are produced by Cold Steel. Before we do that, I got to show you. I got a pretty cool little nifty can cozy today. I dig my dog. Best friend adventures, we rough it, hiking trails and wagging tails. So, Charlie approved. So as I said, both knives are produced by Cold Steel. The Range Boss model number is CS20KR9. And the Ranch Boss 2 model number is 20NPM1. And I am going to probably, over the course of this video, mix up Range Boss and Ranch Boss repeatedly. But Range Boss, Ranch Boss. So now you know for when I screw it up. Anyway, so both knives are produced by Cold Steel. Both are manufactured in Taiwan. And both are very similar in many aspects of their design, but they have some key differences. So to start off with, the overall length of each knife is 9 1/4 inches, or 23.5 centimeters. The Range Boss comes in at 3.4 ounces. The Ranch Boss 2 comes in at 5.2 ounces. Both have a clip point. Both have a flat grind. The steel for the Range Boss is 4034 stainless steel. That is a medium grade Japanese stainless steel. Comes with a hardness of about 54 to 55. The Ranch Boss 2 is made of SK5, which is a Japanese high carbon tool steel. And it's known for its relative toughness, edge retention, and abrasion resistance. The blade length for each is 4 inches. The blade height for each at the highest point, here and here, is 1 inch. The blade thickness for each is 1.37 inches, or 3.5 millimeters. Each comes with a straight edge. The cutting edge on each is 3 7/8 inches. The finish on the Range Boss is a stonewash finish, while your Ranch Boss 2 has no finish. The handle length for both is 5.25 inches, or 13.3 centimeters. The handle height on your Range Boss at its highest point is 1 inch. Enclosed 1.5 inches. The handle height at the widest point for your Ranch Boss 2 is 7/8, and closed 1.25 inches. The handle material for your Range Boss is glass reinforced Zytex. Comes with a nice aggressive texture, so good traction. The handle material for your Range Boss 2 is synthetic faux bone with a saw cut. So kind of similar to your Delrin that you might see on an old timer. Your Range Boss does not come with a sheath, but it does have a pocket clip. Your Ranch Boss 2 has no pocket clip, but it does come with a belt pouch. And that is a leather belt pouch with a snap closure and pass-through belt loop. Now, each knife comes with a locking mechanism. For your Range Boss, it is a mid-lock, and it comes with the cold steel triad locking system. You can see in here you have a divot in the back of your tang, a stop bar here, and then as that comes up against the stop bar, your back spring, which has a little hook, drops in, so you've got a lock, and then you've got that stop bar. Makes for a very, very secure lock. And then, of course, releases this way. Your Range Boss 2 is both a slip joint and a liner lock. So you can see here we have a stainless steel liner lock. Comes up with good purchase, about 40%. But it doesn't have a drop shot because it's still a slip joint. So even if you didn't have your liner lock, the knife would still stay open. You would just, like any traditional slip joint, just have to apply pressure to close it. Price range on your Range Boss. Canada, I found it at about $59.99 Canadian. In the US, runs in the range of $30 to $40. Your Ranch Boss 2 Canadian comes in at about $62.99, and in the US, about $40 to $50. So let's take a look at some general comparisons. Thickness-wise, well, your Ranch Boss 2 is almost twice as thick as your Range Boss. Handle-wise, you've got more material to the depth of your handle overall with your Ranch Boss than you do with your Range Boss. How they feel in the hand. The Range Boss feels really good. It's narrow, so it's not entirely hand-filling, but there's good traction, sits nice in the hand, finger grooves. It's going to depend on your hand size. For me, I've got medium-sized hands, so somebody with larger hands would probably find a more comfortable purchase here. I kind of ride up a little bit on that center hump, but it's still comfortable in my hand to use. Requires a little more grip because of the thinner profile, but you've got great texture on this material. One modification I had to make, just slight, is I did find the edges were a little catchy, a little sharp here. So I just took a metal tool, the back of a handle on a file or something like that to fit in here, and I just ran it up and down the length just to kind of round those out. Your Ranch Boss 2, it's a little more filling in the hand. You don't have the height this way, but with the thickness, it fills the hand really well. And again, that center swell on the finger grooves is roughly in the same place, but I don't notice it as much because the depth of the handle isn't there, so I don't feel it as much in my hand. Both feel good in the hand. My preference over the two is probably the Ranch Boss, just because it's a little bit thicker. Still has good texture. Other handle differences, obviously, you have the stainless steel bolsters with the Ranch Boss, and no bolsters with the Range Boss. Blade wise, both are a clip point blade. The clip comes in roughly at the same point. You have a nail nick for opening with your Ranch Boss, no nail nick with your Range Boss. And you'll notice you've got a little bit more of a belly, a little bit more of a sweep to your Ranch Boss. The Range Boss kind of maintains its thickness back towards the plunge grind, where the Ranch Boss kind of tapers in more. I'll give you a little better look at that. So while at the highest point the blade thickness is, or blade height is roughly the same, definitely when you get down towards the tang, you see a noticeable difference. You have small sharpening choil with your Ranch Boss. Your Range Boss, you have no sharpening choil. It comes right back to the plunge grind. Now, both knives come with modern hardware. So you can see you have torque screws, T8, T6 for your Ranch Boss. And for your pivot, you've got a T8, I would say there. Yep. And T6s here and here. One pin, because it is a backlock, so you do need one pin for that. But everything else is torque screws, so modern hardware. And you do have a captured pivot with your Ranch Boss too. Weight-wise, while neither is particularly heavy, both, if you're familiar with a Buck 110, both are significantly lighter than a Buck 110. You do notice the weight difference. You feel the weight more of your Ranch Boss than you do your Range Boss. This is a very light knife. I've thrown this in my back pocket and literally forgotten it was there until I sat down. So, the pocket clip is a very strong clip. When I first got the knife, I could not get that into my pocket with the clip. I had to take just a flathead screwdriver and pry back on it a little bit just to stretch it out. And now it fits quite comfortably over my jeans pocket. Steel wise, I would say probably the steel with your Ranch Boss is your better steel, but it is a carbon steel, so you do have to be aware that you will have to maintain it. It's not stainless, so you don't want to store it in a wet or humid environment. When you use it, clean it afterwards. It will patina, and as an example of that, I've got the little Ranch hand. This is kind of the mini version of the Ranch Boss. If you look here, this is a knife I use more regularly, and you can see that it is taking a patina on the blade. So if you don't like a patina, something to be mindful of, but it'll polish out too. Now, locking mechanisms. Of the two, I prefer the locking mechanism on the Range Boss. Just, it's feels more secure and much easier to operate. It's not, well, it's a little bit drop shutty. You can thumb roll it open, which is a nice feature, so one hand opening. And with some practice, you can flick it open. With the Ranch Boss 2, you have your liner lock. Over time, that will wear and become less effective. As the metal wears down, it's going to pass further and further across the tang until it becomes just not very effective. Initially, out of the box, and for the amount of time I've used it, no play at all, very secure. But one gripe I have with this knife is it's a very small liner lock. It's easily accessible with the cutaway, but it's very sharp down on that edge. And if you don't get your thumb out of the way, there's a pinch point right there. So I would have preferred if they had a more pronounced liner lock, just to kind of keep your thumb out of the way. So with this one, everything's out of the way, just a simple back lock. And it's a mid lock, which is nice. You don't have to come way back to the heel of the knife. It's right there, right within your natural grip. So you have one-handed operation and you have two-handed operation with this knife. So that's something that may matter to you. With the flat grind, both blades are very thin and slicey. So for food prep, anything like that, cutting rope, cutting cord, they should perform well. In fact, we got some stuff here, so why don't we test them both out. So here's a piece of paracord with your range boss. Clean cuts, rips through no problem. With your Ranch Boss 2, again, clean cuts, no problem. Here's a section of bungee cord. No problem. Yeah, no problem at all. Some heavier gauge rope. Rips right through, no problem. And again. So both very slicey. Some of this synthetic, this is synthetic rope. This is the worst stuff in the world to cut, in my opinion. But no problem with the Range Boss. And with the Ranch Boss, again, no problem. Maybe a little bit of cardboard. Maybe some leather. Kind of ripped a little bit, this old leather. Here is some moose maple. I use this stuff to make walking sticks, so I spend a lot of time carving bark off of these. We'll try the Ranch Boss. So no problem there. And with our Ranch Boss 2, no problem there. Maybe you want to whittle on a little stick. something like maybe some feather sticking. Bites in nice, but still you get some nice clean curls. Now, for prolonged use, I find for hard use like that, my hand tires faster with this knife due to the narrower profile than it does with the Ranch Boss 2. It's just more hand filling. As far as scraping or anything like that goes, both have a fairly rounded spine, more so with your Range Boss, but it also does have that powder coat. So that's going to inhibit any kind of scraping. But if you need to sharpen your pencil, both knives are probably going to perform extremely well for that task. So, pros and cons from my perspective. Handle-wise, as far as feel in the hand, I like the Ranch Boss 2 better. It's just, with the wider profile, it fills the hand a little better. It doesn't have the depth, but for me, it just feels more comfortable. If I was going to use this, say carving with a walking stick or something like that, this knife is going to tire my hand less over time. This knife, while it does have really good traction, I just find I have to squeeze more to grip this one, and that's going to tire my hand out quicker. Locking mechanism, as I said, I have to give it to the Ranch Boss. Just, it's one hand deployment, one hand closure. And I like with the mid lock. With a back lock here, you sometimes might have to two hand close the knife. With this one here, I can one hand close it. A liner lock is good on a knife, but with time that will wear and the lock will eventually fail. And just this particular design, the accessibility, while it's there, that pinch point, just, I'm not a fan of that. And it is a two-hand deploying knife. Blade wise, I guess that's just going to depend on your steel preference. The blades are so similar, other than just near the tang, the Ranch Boss tapering more. Profile, everything, thickness, they're just very similar. The sharpening choil, even though it's minor, is a bonus to the Ranch Boss 2. And other than that, you're just looking at steel. Myself, I'm a fan of carbon steel, and I just think over time, if you maintain it well, don't let it rust, I think this steel will probably outlast this steel. Carry wise, a lighter carry with your Range Boss, and it does have a pocket clip so you can throw it in your pocket. Your Ranch Boss 2, a little bit heavier, so if you were to throw it in your pocket, which you certainly can, you're going to feel the weight as it bounces around in your pocket. But If you like a belt carry system, then you have that. It's a very nice sheath. Nice leather, nice stitching, good and thick, nice snap. So I don't mind a belt carry, but you might. The only criticism I have is that it's a pass-through. So when your knife is in the sheath, your belt's going to rub on your knife, and that can either wear on your knife or wear on your belt. Size-wise, I mean, they're both your folding hunter style and size. So they're a bigger knife. You know, they're hand filling. For some people, that might be more blade than they want to deal with, as opposed to something smaller like this. So, do I have a preference? It's hard because there's some key features on each that really, for me, trump the other. If I just wanted a quick grab and go knife, the Ranch Boss would probably be my go-to. Just grab it, drop it in my pocket. It's lightweight. It's, you know, not going to be that noticeable to carry. The Ranch Boss 2 is a little heavier, so you're going to notice it in your pocket, but it does come with a belt carry system. But you're going to notice that on your hip too. So just a quick grab and go knife. Yeah, probably the Range Boss. Something I wanted to carry, and you know, I might have some harder use for it or something like that. I'd probably go with the Ranch Boss 2. So, but there's just, I mean, there's some key differences. I mean, that locking system with the mid back lock, I like that much more. It's thumb deployable. Now you could put a thumb stud on this one and make it thumb deployable. You probably, I mean, it might be tight to get one in there. Rather than a thumb stud, a bar might be better. But there's not enough resistance. I mean, I can pinch open it like that. So if you got the right kind of stud or bar on here, you probably could thumb roll it out. Anyway, folks, that's my look at the two. Hopefully that provided you with some information to help you make a choice on which you would prefer. And, you know, we each have our preferences and what we look for in a knife. As far as just general use, I mean, if you're looking at just the blades, very comparable. You probably can't go wrong with either. It may just come down to your preference when it comes to the steel, whether you want stainless or carbon. Anyways, folks, we'll call it there. I hope you got some good information out of this to help you make a choice. And, you know, money for a lot of us is tight these days. And you might be, maybe you just can't buy both and you need to buy one. So hopefully this information helps you make this choice. This one I picked up myself. This one was a gift from Mike at Rasputin's Castle. So because he was kind enough to do that for me, I have the two to compare. Because I don't know that I would have gone out to buy both. Just on specs, if I was looking at it online, probably I would go with this fella just because it has a more appealing look. Kind of has that classic slip joint look to it, and I kind of like that. But of the two, you know, this one's probably the more rugged knife. With those IX handles, there's a little bit of flex there. You could probably drive over this with your vehicle, which I'm not going to do, and it would probably survive. This one here, probably a good chance you crack or split the covers. Anyway, folks, I'm going to call it there. I hope this comparison provided you some valuable information. Should you want to buy either of these knives, maybe, you know, we can't all afford, money's tight these days. We can't all afford to buy every knife we want. So if you're kind of torn between the two, hopefully I gave you some information that will help you make an informed choice. Other than that, I hope you have an awesome day. It's been a beautiful day here in the mid-20s, and that's Celsius for you American folks. So get out and enjoy this nice weather. Get out in the woods, spend some time with the trees, listen to the birds. If you're going alone, tell somebody where you're going. in case you get into trouble. And definitely take a knife with you. It might come in handy. You all take care.